You're listening to the Visionary Lifestyle Podcast, the show that's dedicated to raising consciousness and empowering you to activate your highest potential. I'm your host, Magda Freedom Rod. Our guest today is Anandra George. Anandra is a pioneer in the global yoga community, reintroducing the ancient practice of sound as a fundamental practice. She created the world's first registered yoga teacher training based entirely on the transformational power of sound, including Sanskrit, mantra, Indian classical vocal meditation, and nonviolent communication for everyday life. American by birth, Indian by soul, and global citizen by expression, Anandra helps people transform their limiting belief systems and cultivate their most fulfilling contribution to the world. How amazing is that work? She divides her time between India, Japan, and on Kaua'i Island of Hawaii, and teaches mantra workshops and intensives worldwide. For more than 20 years, she's been on the path and has been teaching and seeing private clients ever since 1999. An internationally respected mantra teacher and sacred musician, she's frequently invited to teach and lead chanting and kirtan at the world's largest yoga festivals. In fact, Anandra and I did this interview during the International Yoga Festival in Rishikesh, India, where she produced the programming for the incredible soundstage. The same morning of this interview, I attended a beautifully intense and transformative sunrise morning meditation with her next to the Ganga River. This woman has magic in her. Following this interview, I have found a whole new depth of understanding and appreciation for mantra and the yoga of sound. Anandra is offering up something really important and uniquely special. I sincerely hope you get some inspiration to ramp up your voice and your practice after hearing this interview. There's no doubt that I've caught the yoga of sound bug after spending this time with Anandra. Enjoy. Anandra George, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful that you accepted my invitation to be on the podcast. We are in Rishikesh, India, at the International Yoga Festival.
Yes, we are.
Amazing and true. So if people hear noise in the background, it's because we are in India, and one of the big takeaways that I'm getting from India is that it's not quiet here.
That's a revelation.
I had this idea, I'm coming to an ashram, I'm going to be in quiet. And
this is your first time to India?
Yeah.
Oh.
You've been coming here for how long?
20 years.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm a newbie in this lifetime. I'm pretty sure I've been here for multiple past lives, but this is my first one in this lifetime.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a great way to start our conversation about the yoga of sound, which is what you teach.
Yes. The contrast between sacred sound and ordinary sound. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the difference?
So I would define sacred sound as that sound which is alive with listening. So it has an inductive quality rather than a productive quality. So the sound that takes one deeper within.
Rather than distracts us outwardly.
Correct. Yeah. So sacred sound can be inwardly moving and also outwardly expressive. Like you can be deeply connected in your heart and singing a beautiful song or a mantra, but a song or a mantra that's not coming from that point of silence, listening behind the phenomenon of the sound itself. By my, high standards, I guess you could say, admittedly so, it would be not the highest potential of sacred sound. So in India, a lot of us have this kind of romanticized image
Yep.
of what is India, and you think of the chants and you see the, ceremonies and the pujas and everything like that. But I mean, I hate to break your bubble if it's not already broken, but a lot of that is just sound. It's just a lot of times it's like a job that people are doing, and it's actually quite rare, even in India, to find musicians and pujaris who are moving from silence, whose sound is alive with listening.
Why do you think that is?
It's a good question. I think there are probably a lot of factors to that, but one is just that in general, the materialized culture of the West has, taken over in the trend of modern Indians. So most modern Indians, especially like my generation, in my 30s, they're not really that interested in the cultural, spiritual traditions. They're more interested in going to McDonald's and having a nice car and a nice watch and designer brand labels and things like that. So it's the movement is outward into materiality.
Yeah.
Whereas it's true that the underpinning of the Indian culture is that inward movement. It's the foundation of what makes India great, is the yogic tradition, the inward path. But today we have quite a mix.
Yeah,
It's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's becoming more westernized, right?
It's become.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to Sadhviji about this and about the silence and how, I commented on how loud it is here, and she was just laughing like, it's not quiet in India. And I was like, this has been one of my biggest takeaways on this trip and one of my biggest lessons so far. And the conversation keeps coming around to this, that it's like we need to find the silence within.
Yeah.
And she was saying that just in her 20 years here, it's such a remarkable difference. Like it was quieter, a lot quieter 20 years ago, before everybody had the scooters with the horns and the cell phones that they're screaming on, standing right next to you and all of this. So just, bringing the West and technology, the advances in technology just in the last 20 years has made India even louder.
Yep. And then you get competitions where like one temple's blasting their chants to drown out the neighbors. It's pretty funny. But even within that, I mean, in a way, like, it's so ironic because, my really some of my deepest practice times have been, I live in Hawaii, and the island of Kaua'i is just like pristine heaven on earth.
Pretty quiet there.
Very, except for the chickens and the crickets and the roosters and all the jungle sounds. But when I started coming back to India and really studying North Indian classical music in Delhi.
Wow. One of the most chaotic places on the planet, probably.
Yeah. Chaotic and polluted and violent for women. I mean, it's like really, it's a crazy place. But I was like, okay, all right, here we go. This is what life is serving up to me. And so I thought, well, if I cannot listen for the beauty under the chaos, then I'm full of, as a teacher. If I cannot find the bliss in a traffic jam, you know, with the horns blaring and the cows rolling by and the, you know, beggars not pounding on the window, you know,
right.
like then it doesn't work.
Yeah, you have to be able to master that.
And so I found, like, I kind of found this deeper place of breath where, like, I would just practice just being really inward, even with my breath, because I didn't want to breathe deeply from the pollution. So I really, like, was forced to internalize, like, really tap into what is prana and what is sacred sound. Like, how can I hear the pulse of the universe underneath even that apparently chaotic discord and unpleasant sound. And so I can't say I did it all the time. Sometimes I would get irritated, but I really did, after 5 years, you know, of spending quite a bit of time there, really kind of start to master, like, I could drop into that place. And that, I think that's like the irony of doing practice in India, is you think it's going to help you, but it's actually going to rub you all the wrong ways to see exactly where you're not integrated with your yoga.
Right. That's a great way of putting it, is rubbing you all the wrong ways. That's exactly what it does. Is it's there is this kind of idyllic image. Like, I totally had it. I'm first to admit. You know, I came to do 3 weeks of panchakarma, and I thought, wow, I'll do that in the morning. In the afternoon, I'll be meditating in the quiet garden, and it'll be peaceful. I'm getting my lessons
with a monkey coming and stealing your stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, the monkeys. That's another. But I mean, just even from the sound aspect, and I can see. I heard you say it took you 5 years. You know, like, or after 5 years, you know, you finally got there, because I can see how it can take quite a bit of time to. It's almost like working through all those layers of chaos until you really get to the heart of it, really get to your own true center, right?
It's like, I mean, you know, in order to have, like, this indestructible gem of peace, you have to bang at it from a lot of different angles.
Wow. That's good. It's a great way of putting that.
And I feel like that's what my time in Delhi was for me. You know, maybe I've got other ones coming up, but it was really hard. It was really hard.
And you got to the gem, the indestructible
I did.
gem.
I feel like it's like,
it's so solid.
I feel it, you know.
Indestructible.
I mean, I knock on wood, like, okay, no, whatever, bring it on. Because it sucked in the moment, but, like, it was really, it was just really valuable. It was valuable training, because now I feel like, and what I'm doing is I'm going all over the world and teaching modern people who live in, you know, Tokyo as office workers, or Dubai, you know, as business people, or where all people all over the world doing very intense worldly stuff, how to stay soft on the inside and connected by using the tools of the yoga of sound, mantra, and just even toning exercise, awareness of sound, to, I don't know, it kind of feels like ninja matrix kind of thing sometimes, you know. And if I hadn't had all that time recently in India, I would be talking from idea and not from experience.
Yeah, you've spent the time here doing the practice.
It's
and
really
now
different.
You can share it.
Yeah, it's really
from that authentic place of experience.
Yeah, like a tried, tested works.
Right, and you share it with people, and you see results. I mean, what
results do people have from the work that you do and the teachings that you offer?
So I started, I think the core of what I started with is mantra meditation. For me, basically it's because that's what really helped me stabilize my mind in the truth. And, you know, if I think about myself maybe 10 years ago, I had a lot of non-serving storylines running in my head, which is, I think, where most people are at. I mean, whenever I teach a basic mantra workshop anywhere in the world, I say, you know, I have them think, okay, just imagine you had a transcript of your thoughts over, let's just say a 72-hour period to accommodate for, you know, hormonal and astrological fluctuations.
Wow, that'd be a powerful exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, just think about it for a second.
Right.
Like, you can think about it.
That's a lot of thoughts.
It's a lot of
That'd
thoughts.
be a huge transcript.
Right?
Huge book.
It's like going to take, if you place it on the wall, it would take up, you know,
but that'd be
a lot.
Big wall.
Yeah. So, you know, how much of that would you edit if you could? You know, how much of that is judgments, criticism, self-criticism, comparison, storylines that are coming from untrue beliefs, like I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or, I mean, I'm like, if you really think about it, you know, what's your percentage?
Yeah, pretty high. Pretty high.
Yeah, that you would get out the whiteout and just, you know,
the red pen, cross through it. Yeah. Just delete all that.
Okay, so that's what I started with when I really dug in deep to my mantra practice, because some part of me knew that didn't need to be there. Like, I didn't need to think those thoughts. So there was a part of me that like latched on to this concept that I could change my mind. Just like in yogasana, you know, if you have a slumped forward posture, you can practice heart opening back bends, you know, and hip stabilization, and, you know, you can realign, you can actually change the way that your bones stack on each other. And you can change your entire musculature through manipulating the fascia, and, you know, you can do that. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen. And so the mind is actually a more malleable instrument than the body. And mantra is the yoga for the mind.
Wow, I get it. It just totally clicked in my brain when you explained that. I'm like, wow, the yoga of sound. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, and specifically
mantra,
like the amazing, rich tradition of mantra that we have, where we have these names, these different qualities of like archetypal energies, like Lakshmi and Ganesha and Saraswati. We also have these like phenomenally true statements, like Soham, I am that, with a capital A. I'm that which cannot be named. I am that. Like, so you use the mantra to repeat the truth of who you are. So you can either use liberation mantras, which would be like, in Sanskrit they're called taraka mantras, so like that which helps you cross the ocean of birth and death.
So poetic.
I know. And those mantras would be like those which have, you know, either the blessing of a guru and lineage, where you have like awakened ones who are passing down the particular juicy formulation that worked for them, and then they pass it on down the line. Like for instance, in the Siddha Yoga tradition, like I'm just saying Siddha Yoga because that's the name of like the Muktananda, Nityananda, Muktananda, Gurumai, and some of the other recent teachers in the in the Shaivism tradition. They use the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, right?
Yes.
Or in the ISKCON or Hare Krishna tradition, they, which was from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great like wandering devotional saint who would run around in the streets chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there are maybe, I don't know, like a dozen or some.
You started with my two favorite.
Hey!
That's amazing. These are the two that I sing
You're the one that's sitting in front of me, so that's what came out.
You just totally channeled that. That was amazing. So what are the direct translations of those? So the thing I always wonder about, I've been more and more called to mantra in the last couple of years. Like I kind of found myself resisting it for quite a while, and just in the last couple of years have really warmed up to it, and I love that you and I are connecting right now because it's really calling me more forward into it. So one thing that I think always brought up resistance in me is not knowing what I was saying, because I know that it's so powerful. We're invoking something, so what am I saying, right?
Yeah.
So how do we?
I think that's I think that's an important point, but the way that I would like to respond to that might not be what you would expect.
I want to hear what you have to say.
So it's actually not, so in the, when you're talking about Sanskrit mantras, the meaning is the effect of the sound. So Sanskrit is a creative language. The sound is the meaning. The sound is the subtle form. So English is like a representational language. We say something and it conjures an image in our mind. Like you say cat. If you say cat 1,000 times, you are not going to become one.
Right.
Right? But if you say Shiva 1,000 times or 10,000 times or 1,000,000 times, you actually become that energy. The sound vibration of making that, the process of producing that sound creates the experience of expansion and consciousness.
It's a vibration, really.
It's a vibrational language.
Yeah, it's the vibration. So it doesn't matter so much like what the English translation is.
There is no, you cannot, you
there really
cannot
isn't even
hold
one.
the ocean in a paper cup.
Oh, right.
Well
said.
So, but this brings up an important point, especially you're in LA, I think.
Yes,
This podcast goes all over the place, but right. In the West, there is, at this moment in time, there is a severe lack of precision in the chanting communities, like epidemic.
Okay. So set us straight. I'm so glad to.
Well, I feel
learning
like
about this from you.
Really, like I've got my work cut out for me because this is a really important point to me, because the sound is the subtle form, and so if we're chanting the names, but we're not connected to the precision of the sound of those names, then sometimes it will have the opposite effect.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Yikes.
Yeah. So it's
how do we avoid that?
Well, it's actually not that difficult to learn. Basically, all you need to do is you need to learn you need to learn and imbibe the 50 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, which come from 5 different mouth positions. And those mouth positions activate different energetic points.
Wow.
And then the 50 letters are produced in different, like by contacting those points in different ways that produce the different sounds. And there's metaphysical correlations to the chakras and the elements of creation and the energies of creation. I mean, it's fascinating, as well as the marma points and Ayurveda. I mean, it's like the, you know, like in architecture, when you first have to make the grid of the building that you're going to create.
Right.
That's what Sanskrit is.
Wow.
It's the steel, it's the rebar and the first.
Okay.
It's planting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you don't have a visceral knowledge of the Sanskrit, then you cannot pronounce the mantras
accurately.
Accurately. Your building is going to be smush.
Oh. Yikes.
Your building is going to be smush. And I mean, it's kind of like you can hear the passion rising in me.
Yes.
Like, because
Great.
nobody told me that.
Nobody told me that. I didn't know that.
Like, why
Maybe
not?
that's why it never resonated with me so much, and maybe that's why I'm here to learn this and bringing this message to people.
Well,
you know, this is, people need to know these things. Thank you for teaching this.
I am so happy to be teaching it, because like the difference between chanting mantra with that awareness and without it, it's like without it you're kind of like grasping for something that you know is out there but you can't quite reach it.
That's
or like
probably a great way to describe how I felt about it, and just trying to practice in the past. Yeah,
like you're maybe like you can hear this incredible radio station, but it's just sort of like distant and fuzzy and often, and like you know you want that, but you can't, you don't get that resounding full body experience.
Right.
And that versus when you imbibe, I'm liking that word today, when you drink the nectar of the sounds, and pay attention to that. Like I always do, the workshops that I teach I call tantric Sanskrit, because it's like that sense of stretching and experiencing the deliciousness of the sound. Then the name becomes like you can feel the pulsation of the form in you. There's no sense of grasping outside for something or some external meaning or some experience that you're reaching for. You're actually like dripping with fullness.
Yeah, you're resonating with the vibration.
You are in the vibration.
Yeah.
And it just changes everything.
Yeah.
It just changes everything. And so, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think that's kind of, it's a metaphor for our misplaced focus. A lot of times, on the spiritual path, we're focused on getting the next teaching, going to the next retreat, or reaching for the next accomplishment. Like, oh, I can finally do scorpion pose, or look at me, I learned a new song, and I'm on stage with I've got my 3rd album coming out, whereas really the inner path, for me anyway, the inner path is really more and more just about resting in fullness and just being in that fullness.
So beautiful.
It's inductive rather than productive.
Right.
Yeah,
journeying inward.
To go back to the way we put it at the beginning, like the sacredness of it is, you can't see, the listeners can't see my hand gestures, but my hand is pointing into my heart rather than, out into
to the gem within.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're sitting here in perfect jewel tones today. It's
Oh,
just like
yes.
you are embodying this so much. We started our morning actually together, Ganga side, with the sunrise meditation that you led, which was really powerful for me. And
I think I remember you.
I was crying a little bit, because I got to that inner place, and I felt the vibration, and I felt so connected, and I'm feeling the magic of this practice of the yoga of sound, and I'm becoming more and more called to dive deeper into my own learning and practice about this.
Yay! It's an endless journey. Let's go.
Yay. So one question that's coming up for me, just learning already so much from you just in these few minutes talking, and like I said, there are some mantras that call me more than others, and I suppose there's different mantras that call different people, and I'm just wondering, I've put together like a playlist on SoundCloud of my favorite ones.
Oh, nice.
I did that just recently within the last couple of months. And I listen to them often, and I'm learning them that way and singing the ones that stick with me. And but I'm curious how much I'm hearing the power of us producing the sounds ourselves and learning how to properly produce them, and the difference between that and not producing them properly. But what about receiving them? What about listening to them from other people? Do they have, I would guess, before you answer, I would guess not the same effect, but they must have some beneficial effect on us listening to them?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's I'm not a scientist, so I might not say this exactly correctly, but I believe that there's a lot of new interesting research on mirror neurons, and that's what enables us to have empathy. And that's what enables us to basically put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. So one of the benefits of listening to someone singing with their full heart is that we can imagine how it might feel for us to sing with our full heart. And so we get our neurology is actually producing similar types of chemicals, our biology, our hormonal machine, our inner drug factory is making similar types of chemicals as to what we would have experienced if we were doing it. So that's one part of the answer of why it feels good to even listen. But I think there is a big difference between passive and active.
Sure.
Just like any other yoga, or any other kind of nourishment. You might benefit and learn from watching a yoga class, but how much more benefit do you get from actually doing the postures in your own body?
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
That really answers the question. Seriously, a lot more.
The one that I always use, because I lead kirtan here, on the Ganga quite often, and most of the audience, most of the year, except for in March when the yoga festival is on, is Indian, and a lot of Indians don't practice yoga, so I found and they also want to watch me chanting and take videos on their cell phone cameras.
And do a selfie with you in the background.
Fully, so the analogy that I use for them is in those situations, which is also a good one to just drive the point home. Excuse me. The analogy that I use for them is it's like going to an amazing wedding feast and just watching other people eat. Like how much you might get some satisfaction from the joy of thinking of someone else enjoying the food.
Right. Imagining how good it tastes.
And so you can you might start to salivate but it's not the same. And so that's how I usually try to get them to actually put down their cameras and actually
participate.
Sing with me.
Right. So,
Yeah.
okay, so there's several tools that you use to teach people and help people connect and to that, what was it, the indestructible gem within?
I think maybe that's what came out. Yeah.
I'm totally holding that vision of that gem inside you. Seriously, I wish you guys could see her. We did take a picture today, so I'll have to put it on the blog post for this, but she's wearing the most beautiful jewel tones today. So, so the tools that you use, mantra is one. There's also kirtan, right?
Yeah.
Is there another, or are there more?
There's so
those
many.
Are the main ones?
I mean, actually, in the training that I developed, there's one point, where we ask the students to okay, what are all the sound-based practices that we've done? And we write them on the board, and then we list the needs that they need, and how they're benefiting from them. And the list is so long. We end up coming up with 15 or 20 specific variations on practices. But in a broad sense, you could say Sanskrit as a practice in and of itself, which gives rise to mantra, and then there's kind of a crossover into the musical realm with kirtan, which is usually mantras set to music and melodies. And then we also have raga, which is the Indian system of music and meditation through just sounds, tones, scales. That's what we did this morning. We were singing.
Oh, okay.
We were singing.
Yes, I was going to ask you what raga was. So
yeah.
Okay.
And then there's also I'm a very practically oriented. So I also, people don't like it as much because it's not as frilly and pretty, but I also place a really strong emphasis on everyday speech and the practicing non-violence in your speech to yourself as well as your speech to others. So being in integrity with your word. So being in integrity with your word, I often say that, mantra yoga 101 is meaning what you say, saying what you mean.
Yeah, it's bringing up some stuff in my throat chakra. Seriously,
Is that going to be on the podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this in because I think it's valuable. Excuse me.
It'll do that.
Yeah. It's the practice.
Meaning what you say, saying what you mean, and then doing what you say you're going to do. I mean, if that's all you practiced ever in your entire life, you would be a saint.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, how many people don't really say what they mean? They don't really mean what they say. Their presence, their energy is not actually behind their words. Oh, I'm on my way. They haven't left the house yet, right?
Right.
And then doing what you say you're going to do. The quality. Sorry.
We're really doing some work here.
Some transmutation is happening.
It's water.
Funny.
Well,
that's a thing. That's a thing. So when you start doing a lot of sound-based practices, the incredible bliss and expansion that you get from the sound, because the sound is both physical and non-physical, right? So it's tangible, but it's also everywhere around you. So your sense of identity is stretched because you can know, if I touch your skin, it's limited to right here. You can feel that.
Yeah.
But when I speak, the words are the sound of my voice is resonating through the walls.
Right. So it's tangible, but you can't necessarily contain it.
You can't really contain it, and so what it does is it has a purifying effect in that if there are knots and obstacles and stones and twists in your subtle body, hidden in your unconscious subconscious mind, it's like a sonicare
Wow.
for your
That makes sense.
buried chitta, for the, you know.
What is chitta?
Chitta
Define
is like
Isn't that like the
like
noise?
the mind field.
The mind noise.
Sometimes it's sometimes it's interpreted that way, but in the broad sense, it's basically just like you could say like your Akashic record, like all the sound that has ever been made in your mind.
Oh, wow.
It's like the echo of your actions. So it's like the sum total of your being.
Okay.
And it's the only thing that you take with you when you go. You know, the meat suit
Gets left behind.
gets left behind along with all of its pretty jewelry and all of its nice clothes and all of its cars and its accoutrement, you know, right?
Right.
But the sound of your being is the only thing you get to take with you when you go.
And these practices, these tools that you offer, it's what I'm hearing is that this actually creates healing, right, for the subtle body.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at that a little bit more.
Well, it helps you to organize the subtle body along higher lines. So most of us have
Raising the vibration.
absolutely. Yeah, so earlier I asked you to think about your script of thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? And you were like, oh,
That's a lot, yeah.
that's a lot. So all of those thoughts arise from, you know, buried, compacted, deeply hidden, sometimes, belief systems, misinterpretations of truth.
Yes.
And so the practice of mantra helps us to like homeopathic remedies to transform core hidden beliefs into their higher archetypal energies. Like for instance, you know, abundance, right? Like a lot of people are
Walking
really
around in lack consciousness.
Yeah, okay, right. So if you are vibrating in harmony with the glorious currency, like the energy of the expression of love into the universe, which is Lakshmi,
Right.
you know, the dispenser of all of the goods, you know,
Yeah. That's my other third favorite.
how can you be greedy? How can you be afraid that you're not going to get your basic needs met?
Right.
You know, how can you live in fear? And how can you then act out of fear, unconsciously perpetuating the same dramas over and over again? Whether it's fear around money or fear around lovableness, you know, I mean, take your pick.
Whatever form of abundance.
Whatever form of abundance you are lacking.
Yeah. Or perceived to be lacking.
Yeah, it's mathematical, it's like metaphysical mathematics. Once you repeat to yourself enough times with that awareness and presence and precision of sound, it just displaces. It like the sound vibration shakes up the old stuff and makes, you know, like
Shakes out the stuff that's not needed.
it shakes out, but energy is neither created nor destroyed. So that energy has a chance to reorganize matter is neither created. Is it matter or energy? Sorry, I'm trying to be all
energy,
Einstein on you.
energy, right?
Yeah.
And energy is not, matter is created. Well, I don't know, maybe both
Sorry,
actually.
science people.
Well,
Maybe
definitely energy is not created or destroyed, but I think of it like this.
Well, energy and matter are just two ends of the same spectrum.
Right,
really.
exactly. Matter is only a form of energy.
So, but all that, you know, what I experience in the sense of transformation is that all that energy that was like compacted and held, like these deeply hidden attachments. So in Ayurvedic terms, it would be tamasic energy, like stubborn clinging to old beliefs. Once that opens up, there releases this incredible potential. You know, like the amount of fire that's in coal.
Right.
Right? cold is just compacted sunshine. Right?
Right.
And so when you start to apply the heat of a spiritual discipline, especially a mantra discipline, a sound-based discipline, because it has that subtle, like the sonicare effect, you know, the energy, the potential that's hidden in the chunks that are in there becomes released bit by bit, and eventually, it gets basically used up in devotion and service.
Right.
You know,
We're talking about transmutation of
absolutely.
energy. Yeah. I'm saying
What do you
that.
think yoga is?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just thinking about how I teach. When I teach the yoga practice, you know, the physical asanas, and certain poses, I encourage people to, release the old, heavy, dark, negative energy and to breathe in, expand in their body and create space for something new, set to a higher vibration. Let's transmute the vibration, right?
Perfect. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Same practice, different tool, different form.
Yep.
But
we're
talking about the same thing. This is the yoga of sound. How incredible.
Absolutely. And the, I guess the difference, the making space in your physical instrument definitely opens up new potentialities. Making space in your mental instrument also opens up multiple dimensions of potentiality.
Yeah. So we could say that the mantra practice is one of the tools for activating your highest potential.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for people to learn, to expand into this? I'd like to think that by now in this conversation, at this point, people are interested and engaged and going, okay, I want that. What's the next step? Where do I begin? How do I start? Where do we go from here? I know you offer really extensive, deep trainings.
I do, but I can't be everywhere all at once.
Right.
And it's not about me, I'm just
Where do people go?
I'm just a messenger for this. It's a great question.
To do it right?
Let's not say right and wrong, but let's just say gracefully and expediently, as much as possible.
Okay.
For one, just do it. Like one of my dear friends teaching yoga for a long time, and people ask her, well, what kind of yoga should I teach, or how? And she said, okay, here's what you do. You find the nearest studio. You look at their class schedule and you see which one fits with your schedule, and you go to that class. Like you don't.
You start.
You just do it. Like if you're just a super beginner, like if you've never done it before, then just do it. The value is going to come from just opening your mouth. There's a lot of people have so much shame and embarrassment and trauma, even about making a sound.
Yeah.
So that's a start. If you're already there and you're already loving chanting, then please seek out some qualified resources. A qualified resource is not necessarily a yoga teacher. A qualified resource is not necessarily somebody who's leading kirtan and selling albums. A qualified resource for Sanskrit and mantra is someone who, at the very least, has a visceral understanding of the 50 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, and they're providing resource materials and training that guides you into the physical production of the sound. And like I said, most of the people who exported the kirtan into the West, and most of the yoga teachers who are exporting the yoga teaching into the West, have not experienced the joy of that teaching. And so there's like I said, there's like an epidemic of imprecise repetition going on.
Right.
At the teachers of teachers levels and at the top recording artist levels, it's a big problem. So finding, the few people are out there who really offer what I would consider a qualified resources does take a little bit of homework. I do have a list of recommended resources on my website, and but unfortunately they're pretty few and far between. But you can find online stuff if you're lucky enough to live in a town like LA. There might be one or two people offering some things there.
Okay.
But it's worth it. Like it's worth it. Once you fall in love, like first let yourself fall in love.
Yeah.
You know, just go to any old chanting thing. It doesn't matter. Just open your mouth and open your heart and get into it. And then once you're hooked, because you probably will be, hopefully that itch for learning will not get scratched until you get your hands on some really good nerdy material.
Right.
You know, not because you want to be mentally superior or because you want to be able to go around correcting everyone with a sense of ego or anything like that, but because you're like, I want to tune into the station and feel the vibe. Like I want to be
on that frequency.
I want to how what she's having.
Totally. Well, that's great. So one question that's coming up for me around this is all very heart chakra. Throat chakra, right?
Yeah.
So do you do, in your trainings, do you offer any practices or meditations just around, cleansing it, balancing it?
There's no need for that because it happens automatically.
This is the healing.
That's what it is.
The balancing of it. Okay.
I mean, what just happened, right? Like,
I just cleared something here. This conversation, I know. Talking about it.
Yeah. And because the throat, I mean, the name for that chakra is Vishuddha chakra. It means like the perfectly clean, perfectly clear. So when the throat chakra, which is the 16 petals on the throat chakra, are the 16 vowel sounds, the shaktis, the energies, the pure energies that inspire creation, are streaming through the throat. Then I mean that's like the ultimate attainment, to be really simply an instrument for love, to manifest in the world.
And it's also the listening. It's the perfect listening is involved in the throat chakra too. Most people I think of it as just as the sound that goes out of us rather than really listening.
I think we have a budding yoga of sound teacher over here.
Well, when I teach about the chakras, I teach about that. It's the divine listening. It's not just, what's coming out of us, our expression, but it's also how we receive the sound and that listening that you talked about. So I am becoming more and more called to this. This has been super enlightening. Is there any other point you feel is really important for people to know about the yoga of sound?
Just do it.
Get started. Well, what about where we started when you said, well, it can have the negative effect if you do it, for air quotes, the wrong way. So if people are learning the incorrect way or imprecise, I mean, is there?
Well, that's what I'm trying to qualify. Like, if just making a sound is like totally traumatizing for you, then just doing that is going to be healing.
Right. Okay.
Fall in love with the sound of your own voice. Like, get yourself out of the way to start with. Anything is better than nothing. Like, even like with yogasana, any kind of yoga is going to be better than nothing.
Right.
If all you've ever done is sit on your couch and eat potato chips and watch soap operas. Right? Anything is better than nothing. And then you get into a refinement and a discernment with what subtle styles and ways of movement and types of alignment. The material aspect of yoga, like the gross physical body of yogasana, has been highly developed, more in the West than in India.
Yes.
Yeah,
the physical.
Super nerdy detail is happening.
Right.
So I hope one day, there is enough passion for the refinement of the subtle bodies through the yoga of sound as there is in the physical. So
Yes.
I'm doing my bit to help that, I hope.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. It's what's so amazing is the magical power. I call it magical because it's nothing less than that. The magical power of sound to bring people to their knees and into their heart, like just drop all the crap that you tell yourself all day long and just be in love.
It's a great place to stop right there. And thank you. Just be in love. ...
Just be in love. Easier said than done.
It's a practice. It's a lifelong practice. I
Yeah.
mean, yoga is a lifelong practice,
Yeah.
and there are so many dimensions to yoga. And I'm really grateful to be here in India and in the International Yoga Festival, and just getting to really more deeply explore these different facets and have conversations with people like you. I'm so grateful for your time and for your showing up the way that you are and delivering your gifts and all that you do. What's the best place for people to learn more about you?
Well, probably the website portal, or is the the one place where everything is. You can get there either through Mantra Yoga, MANTRAYOGA.US, not .com, mantrayoga.us. And that's like a gateway where you can sign up for my email list and get a bunch of free gifts and mantra related things that I've offered. Or you can go to that takes you to my website, the main website, which is truefreedomcoaching.com.
Fantastic.
And yeah, because I've been doing individual coaching for the last 20 years. I don't have a lot of time for that now that I'm focusing more on the training, but everything is there. And also I'm pretty active on Facebook and Facebook page. So
do you have music out there that people can listen to?
Ironically, I don't. I've been focused more on teaching so that others can feast from the buffet.
Yeah, perfect.
Than producing materials that people can consume. Like, I'm more of the teach a man to fish than give him one.
Right, perfect.
But sometime in the not too distant future, that will happen.
I can imagine people, they got a little gift of, hearing you sing just one mantra earlier. Is there one maybe you could just sing, share your voice with us, just to end the show, maybe with one, maybe Lakshmi? Would you be willing to sing that for us to close out the show?
Actually, what's coming to my heart to sing is a peace prayer.
Sure.
Which is like a good way to end things.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Let me just get the Shruti. Asato ma Sagamaya Tamaso ma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityor ma Amritam Gamaya Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Namaste.
Om Shivaya. Thank you. Thank you, Magda. That was really fun.
Thanks so much for answering the call to be here today. I'm so glad you're part of our tribe of activated rainbow warriors. If you found the show in any way empowering or inspiring, I would be so grateful if you would share the show on social media or with friends and family that you think would benefit from these conversations. And also, rate and review the show in iTunes. This is really the very best way to help support the show and help us get noticed by others who are looking for the sort of content that we're sharing. Now notice there are no outside ads playing here. That's because the show is supported by you, the listener. You can become a patron of the show with a small monthly donation by checking out the perks on our Patreon page at patreon.com/visionary lifestyle and signing up there. There's also a one-time donation button on the podcast page of the website if that suits you better. And just so you know, your donations help to cover the necessary out-of-pocket monthly expenses to produce the show and will also help us grow so we can inspire and educate even more people. And hey tribe, I'd love to hear from you. Visit me at visionary-lifestyle.com and please tell me your comments and questions. I really look forward to connecting with you. I love you. Namaste.